Another famous line says, faith without action serves no useful purpose. Wow, what a major piece of information. Many people these days are big on affirmations. You have to be very careful of affirmation. Remember, there is a thin line between faith and folly. Here's the best I can give you on affirmation. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. And there is nothing worse than delusion. Walking west looking for the sunrise. It's bad. However, affirmation with discipline can bring the most incredible results. The first question is why? Why should you try? Kids often ask, why? It's a good question. Ask yourself, why get up that early? Why work that hard? Why read that many books? Why make that many friends? Why go that far? Why earn that much? Why give that much away? Why put yourself through all those disciplines? Why is an excellent question. The best answer I know to the question why is the second question to ponder. Why not? What else are you going to do with your life? Why not see how far you can go, how much you can earn, or read, or share? Why not see what you can become, or how far you can go? Why not? You have to stay here until you go. Why not? The third question goes a bit further. Why not you? Some people have done the most incredible things with a limited start. Why not you? Some people do so well they get to see it all. Why not you? Why not you watching the morning mist rise over the mountains of Scotland, soaking up history in London, or exploring the mysteries of Spain? Why not you having lunch in one of those neat little sidewalk cafes in Paris? There's nothing like a stroll through the Palace of Versailles. Someday you must gaze directly at the Mona Lisa. Why not you on a sailing schooner in the Caribbean? 2 weeks there and you lose all your cares. I can show you where to find the most exquisite seashells in Australia. I know where they are. Why not you? Why not you shopping on Fifth Avenue in New York City, staying at the Waldorf, or having sliced roast goose on a bed of apple strudel at Luchow's? Stop off and drink in an Arizona sunset. Take a quiet walk along the beach with that incredible feeling, knowing you are enjoying the result of a disciplined effort. Why not you, with an unusual awareness to the heartbeat of life? Why not you? The last question is the key to action. Why not now? Why postpone your better future any longer? Get at it today. Get some new books, make a new plan, set a new goal. Ask some new questions, lock onto a new resolve, make a new effort, and do it all now. Another thing is to ask for God's help, which may sound a little strange. This is not a religious program. My personal word would be that humans are unique, but we could all use a little extra help. Of course, it's a two-way street. I think God will do his part if we will do our part. During this program, we have talked about our part. There's a story about a man who took a rock pile and in 2 years turned it into a fabulous garden. And people came from everywhere to see it. One day a man came by, saw the garden, and thought it was fabulous. But he wanted to make sure the gardener did not take all the credit. He had this deep feeling inside that a lot of people leave God out. So he toured the garden and had a chance to meet the gardener. When he met him, he shook his hand and said, "Mr. Gardener, you and the good Lord together have made this beautiful garden." The gardener understood his message and his point, so he said, "I think that's true. If it was not for the sunshine and the rain, and the miracle of the seed and the soil and the seasons, there would be no garden at all. But," he said, "you know, you should have seen this place a couple of years ago when God had it all by himself." I think that's true. We do play an important part in this challenge called making all we can out of all we have.
And we might not be here to see the results of our effort. We might not be here as many of the people who before us made sacrifices that they did not live to see or reap the benefits of. James Weldon Johnson, stony the road we trod, bitter the chesting rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers died. We've come over a way that with tears has been watered. We've come treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered. When we came here, somebody paid the price for us to be here. And as we begin to look toward the future, we all have an obligation to give something back. A lot of us don't give more because of the fact that we allow ego to get in the way. I'm thinking of a man that was well-dressed, walking through a neighborhood one day, and a lady came to the door, and she said, "Hey, you." He stopped, he said very politely, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Come here." He came to her. "Yes, what may I do for you, ma'am?" She said, "I want you to cut my wood." He said, "Yes, ma'am." He took his coat off, and he took the axe that she had there, and he cut the wood. She said, "I want you to take some around the back and put some in the fire." He said, "Yes, ma'am." And he did that. And after he finished, she said, "What do I owe you?" He said, "Nothing, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity, sir." She said, "Okay." And he left, and he was walking down the street with his coat over his shoulder. And her maid came up. She said, "Do you know who that was?" And the lady she worked for said, no. She says, that's the great Negro educator, Booker T. Washington. He looked out the window. She said, his fat wife. She said, send for him. And that lady, that Booker T. Washington went in and cut the wood for him, contributed several $1 million to his dream of building an institution of higher learning, Tuskegee Institute, that is standing today.
These people hadn't been free in so long that free didn't seem normal. Have you ever been denied something so long that you got used to not having it? Have you ever been alone so long that you stopped being lonely? Have you ever been in a crisis so long that it became your norm? When the Lord turned again our captivity, it was like a dream. And the Holy Spirit told me to tell you, you're going to dream again. When I get through bringing you out, you're going to be scared to believe it. It's going to seem like it's somebody else. When I open up a door for you, it's going to blow your mind. When I set you free, you're going to say, is that me? I don't know what to think about it. Is this my house? Could this be my job? Could this be my husband? Is that my wife? You mean you would do that for me? God said, I'm going to bless you till you're going to have to pinch yourself. Oh, get ready to pinch yourself. God said, I'll blow your mind. I'll cause you to prosper. The contracts will close. The property will sell. The door will open. The mountain will move. The yoke will be broken. The enemy defeated. When the Lord turned again, when he turned, God got to turning. He did something in heaven and it hit the earth realm. He did something in heaven and God raised up somebody who didn't even know me to deliver me. When the Lord turned again our captivity, we were like them that dream. It was hard to believe. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue was singing. I want somebody to just start laughing right now. I want you to practice your laugh. I want you to practice your laugh. I want you to practice your laugh. It's not going to seem like a laugh right now, but I want you to start practicing your laugh, because God said, I'm going to make you laugh again. You're going to get right up in the devil's face and laugh. You're going to get right up in the face of the Babylonians and go to laughing. You thought I'd never laugh again? Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Cancer, leukemia, COVID. You thought you had me. I like to die, but God said, I'm going to fill your mouth with laughter and your tongue with singing. And all of a sudden, I am going to bless you so good that even the unbelievers are going to say, the Lord have done great things for them. I'm going to bless you so good that you're not going to be able to hide it. I'm going to bless you so good that unbelievers are going to be standing there with their mouth hanging open in shock. The Bible said the heathen said, the Lord have done great things for them. And they agreed with the heathen and said, the Lord have done great things for us, whereof we are glad. I pray a spirit of gladness. Father, right now, in the name of Jesus, I pray a spirit of gladness against every spirit of heaviness and every spirit of forlornment and every spirit of frustration and every spirit of defeatism and every spirit of agony and every spirit of witchcraft and every spirit of evil and every spirit of death and every spirit of mourning. I pray a spirit of gladness would break out right now. Somebody's going to start laughing in the Holy Ghost. You started out crying, but you're going to end up laughing. God's going to give you a belly laughter, a laughter down in your spirit and down in your soul. Open your mouth and make a joyful noise. Open your mouth and make a joyful noise. Open your mouth and make a joyful noise. Make a joyful noise. Make a joyful noise. Make a joyful noise. Make a joyful, 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 joy, 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 joy. Do not joy is how we draw waters from the wells of salvation. Why did you let the devil have your joy? It's time to reach in there and get your joy back. Reach in there and get your smile back. Reach in there and get your peace back. Reach in there and get your power back. Reach in there and get your happy place back. Then with our mouth filled with laughter and the tongue was singing, because suddenly I got to see the Lord. I saw the end of my suffering. I saw the end of it. You're gonna see the end of it. You're gonna see the end of it. It's a tough period right now, but you're gonna see the end of it. All of those things I listed that I suffered, I live to see the end of it. I live to see it turn around. I live to see it come out. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. You're going through a season, but if you hold on,
One of my friends says, well, hey, things don't just happen. Things happen just. Another good note for your note. Things don't just happen. Things happen just. And maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm an amateur on life, I guess like most of us are, trying to figure it out, how to make it valuable. But I was ready. And my good fortune was, at age 25, I met a very wealthy man. His name was Mr. Schoaf, Mr. Earl Schoaf. A friend of mine had gone to work for him, and he started telling me about this man. He said, you got to meet this man I've gone to work for. He's wealthy, but he's easy to talk to. And he's got a unique philosophy of life. And the more he kept talking about this man, I thought, well, I've got to meet this man. So sure enough, shortly after that, I had a chance to meet this remarkable wealthy man, and I was impressed. He was wealthy. Sure enough, he was easy to talk to. I was so intrigued, within a few minutes, I said to myself, if I could be like him, farm boy from Idaho, if I could be like him, I'd give anything. And then I thought, if I could just get around somebody like him, and if he would teach me what to do, I would be willing to learn. I'm coachable. And that was my good foot. A few months later, this wealthy man that I met, Mr. Schoaf, took a liking to me, hired me, gave me a job. I went to work for him. And I spent the next 5 years in his employ. And then, unfortunately, he died at the end of that period at age 49. His last 5 years, but the first 5 years of my new life, I got to spend with this remarkable man. And my dream came true. He coached me, he taught me the books to read. He taught me the discipline. He taught me the changes to make in my language, personality. And the things he shared with me during that 5 years literally changed my life, turned my life around, changed my income, changed my bank account, changed my future, changed everything. I've never been the same since that unique experience. And I wish he was still alive today, Mr. Schoaf. I'm sure if he was alive today, especially after this seminar, Idaho Farm Boy makes it to Dallas-Fort Worth, full house, standing room only. Pretty awesome. I'm sure if he was alive, I'd be calling him today saying, you won't believe what's happening to me. I've had a chance now to share with other people what's shared with me. But anyway, how I got here. 30 plus years ago, I was living in Beverly Hills, California. And one day a friend of mine, businessman friend, said, Jim, I'd like to have you come and share your story with my service club that I belong to, the Rotary Club. He said, I know your story, Idaho Farm Boy makes it to Beverly Hills. But he said, I think my club members would love to hear your story. He said, if I arranged one of our breakfast meetings, would you come tell your story? Just share a few thoughts. I said, okay. So I agreed to go give this breakfast talk. And guess what? They liked it. And my telephone rang. I got another call saying, we heard you've given your story and shared some ideas. Would you come talk to our club? First thing I know, I'm starting to devote a piece of my business time to giving these talks. And then one day, a businessman who'd heard my talk, I think 2 or 3 times, approached me and said, would you come and share that story and some thoughts with my management and salespeople? So I got this little company going. And he said, if you'd come tell your story to my organization, he said, I'd be happy to pay you. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be something? So I agreed to go do it, and I got paid. Little did I know, another fortune was waiting for me to translate my ideas into talks, speeches, seminars. Now I've written some books. It's on cassette tape. Now I get to travel around the world. Last year I was in Japan, Israel, Spain, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, Canada, and now Dallas-Fort Worth. Idaho Farm Boy gets to travel around the world and share his story, and here I am today.
And I used to say, looking at the beautiful mansions that she used to clean, I would say, Mama! She said, what is it, boy? When I become a man, I'm going to buy something like this for you. I'm going to buy you a home one day. She said, oh, Leslie, you don't have to do that. I said, I know, Mama, but I want to. I'm going to one day. And she didn't know, and she was curious, where was I getting those thoughts from? I used to work and take care of Mr. Sidursky. He was a very demanding man, very meticulous guy. He would say, Leslie, I said, yes, sir, come here. Yes, sir, you did not clean this ashtray. I'm sorry, sir, I do apologize. And I'd clean the ashtray. Look at this dust here. Look at this dust. I'm sorry, sir. Now, what Mr. Sidursky did not know was that I deliberately didn't clean certain things because I wanted him to call me into his office. Because when he was in his office, he would listen to motivational messages by a guy by the name of Earl Nightingale. It's a series called The Strangest Secret in the World. We become what we think about. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. And as I heard those words, they began to program my mind and began to affect my thinking, and it changed how I saw myself. And my vision of myself began to expand. Listening to Bob Proctor talking earlier about awareness and how important it is, he most certainly is right, because I had the awareness at that point in time, as a result of being exposed to those messages, that I could do more than I was now experiencing. Even since I've been associated with working with Peak Potential, my level of awareness has expanded. Robert Riopel and Roxanne and Gail Kingsbury, it began to expand all of the people that I've interacted with. Life is about expansion. Robert Schuller said success is never ending. And I want you to think about some goal that will give your life a sense of meaning and value. And whatever it is, I don't want you to limit it. I want you to expand it. I've found that most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. No, most people have been like me. Most people aim in life too low, and they aim too low and hit. I did that for many years, and many don't aim at all. So I want you to think about goals in 3 areas. Some personal goal that you'd like to achieve, something that gives your life meaning right now, and some career goal, some financial goal that you'd like to achieve, and your social contribution. Horace Mann said we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. My mother was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. So before I leave the planet, my goal is to reduce the number of women who die from breast cancer in honor of my mother. How many men are over 40? Raise your hands, please. As a 10-year prostate cancer conqueror, my goal is to decrease the number of men who die from prostate cancer, encouraging you to get your PSA test if you haven't done so, or your digital rectal examination. And I'll be glad when they can check out prostate by looking in our ears. It's gotta be a better way. I'm turning red as I talk about it, but you can't see it.
They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. And then he says, he that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless, that's the word, doubtless. He didn't say you might come forth with rejoicing. He said you will doubtless come again with rejoicing. Look at this. You left bleeding, you left weeping, you left suffering. He said, but when you come back, you're going to be bringing your sheaves with you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. They came back better than they left. And I want to share with you, when God says when, there is a place that God just speaks a word and he just turns it all around. I don't know whether it's going to be Thursday or Wednesday. I don't know whether it's going to be Friday or next month. I don't know whether it's going to be March or July. God knows when. All I know is I'm waiting on my win. I'm waiting on my win. And when the Lord turns again my captivity, I am not going to sit there like some of you high-minded, fanciful, sedity, self-righteous people and act like I have not been waiting on this. I am going to praise him like an imbecile. I am going to praise him like an idiot. I am going to dance like I lost my mind. I am going to take my glasses off and shake my head like I'm in a rock band. I'm going to walk the floor and dance and praise the Lord. I am going to be a fool for the Lord, because anybody who's been through what I've been through, I earned the right to make some noise. I am going to get on your nerves. I am going to shout the shout of victory. I am going to lift my voice like a trumpet. I am going to shout unto God. I earn the right to praise him. I earn the right to laugh all you want to. But until you've cried like me, you can't shout like me. Until you suffered like me, you can't rejoice like me. Until you've grown like me, you can't dance to victory like me. Type it right now. I earn this praise. I earn this praise. You can roll your eyes all you want to. You can talk about me if you will. You can send a text out. You can write a blog. But I earn this praise. I earn this blessing. I earn this car. I earn this house. I earn this smile. I earn this life. I earned it. I earned it. I earned it because I was faithful when I was hurting, and because I held on when I was bleeding. I ain't gonna let nobody talk me out of my praise. No! No, hell no. When God says when, and now I'm not going to rejoice because I'm afraid of getting on your nerves. I want to get on your nerves. I fully plan to get on your nerves. God has win. He has a win. He has a win that's got my name on it. He has a win that's already established. And I want every devil to know, you can't keep me in captivity.
Next is desire, wanting to bad enough, and I don't know how to tell you to want to. You have to come up with that. There are two things, however, that I know about desire. First, it comes from inside, not outside. You don't send off for it, although some people try. And second, desire can be triggered. Sometimes it waits in sleep, waiting for something to happen. And who knows what that trigger, that happening might be. Maybe it's a song, maybe it's a sermon, maybe it's a movie, a lecture, a seminar. Maybe it's a conversation with a friend, a confrontation with an enemy, an event, a day, a bitter experience. Whatever it is, it's good. Sometimes from the bitterest experience comes the greatest awakening. Here is some of my best advice to you. Welcome every human experience. You never know which one is going to turn it all on. Don't keep up the walls. The same wall that keeps out disappointment keeps out happiness. Let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. It could be the neck touch that makes the day that turns your life around. And here is the last emotion, resolve. Resolve says, I will. Two of the most powerful words in the language, I will. Benjamin Disraeli once said, nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on the extent of its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die. That could be the day. The man says, I will climb the mountain. They've told me it's too high, it's too far, it's too steep, it's too rocky, it's too difficult, but it's my mountain. I will climb it. Pretty soon you will see me waving from the top or dead on the side because I'm not coming back. Hey, that's powerful. Time and fate and circumstance call a hasty conference, and they all agree. We might as well let John have it. He says he's going to get it or die. Wow, that's it. Resolve. The best definition of resolve I ever heard was from a junior high girl in Foster City, California. I'm talking to the junior high kids, and I asked the question, who can tell me what resolve means? I got several hands. Some were pretty good, but the last one was the best. She said, I think resolve means promising yourself you will never give up. I said, that's it. Best I've heard. Promise yourself you will never give up. I asked the kids, how long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long would you give the average baby before you shut him off? You say that's crazy. Any mother in the world would say my baby is going to keep trying until it learns how to walk. No wonder almost everyone walks. What a magic formula. The until formula. Good question. How long are you going to work to make your dreams of wealth and happiness come true? I suggest the until formula. It's the best. Emotions, disgust, decision, desire, resolve. Now let me give you the third part of the equation. That equation that gets results. It's action. Disciplined action. There's a famous line that says, don't just be listeners, be doers. That's it, doers. The whole world loves the doers. That's what makes the wealth and the winning. Doing, disciplined, emotional action.
Do you know, to the degree that you are giving, to that degree determines how much you enjoy life, how meaningful your life is. There are things, ladies and gentlemen, I used to do, I can't do now. That is unbecoming for the role that I have selected with where I am in my life and what I want to contribute to life. It is inconsistent. I can't do it. Even if I desire to do it, I can't do it. No, because it doesn't fit, because of my vision of myself and the contribution that I want to make to life. Because it's not enough to give the message, you must also be the message. Next thing is that we must give out of a sense of oughtness. Immanuel Kant, in a book called Critique of Pure Reasoning, he says sometimes we must give out of a sense of oughtness, that certain things that happen, that we just say something ought to be done about this. A policeman in Washington, D.C. was working one of his patrol areas, and he came up to a car in a park, and the car was running, and he saw a figure slumped over the steering wheel. He got there looking in with a flashlight, and he saw a 14-year-old boy with a bullet through the back of his head. And he said, oh no, he has a son himself. That could have been his son. And he said, something ought to be done. We're losing too many young people. And so this man went home. He had like several $1,000s worth of exercise equipment in his basement. He rented a place. He started bringing the kids in to get them involved in taking care of their bodies and physical exercise and athletic activity. He now has expanded that to getting them involved in entrepreneurial ventures, saying that this is a free enterprise system, and the more enterprising you are, the freer you are. And now these kids have started their own business. They have a little shopping center that they run, they operate, they are managing, and they have commercials on radio, and I'm going to be going there doing some training with them. So he decided, because of that event, that I ought to do something. Now, some of the things that's going to happen when you look out and see what can I contribute to, what can I give, I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have a voice that's saying, it's just no use. It's out of control now. There will be a voice telling you that you'll be wasting your time and wasting your energy and wasting your effort. I say, don't listen to it. Listen to that still small voice that says, I can do something, and I ought to do it. We ought to do it. Disraeli said this: nothing can resist the will of a people that will stake even their existence on the extent of their purpose for good. I strongly believe that as we begin to look toward the future, and that as each day we get up in the morning, and be it that you're going to give to make the environment safer for everybody on the planet, be it that you're going to do things to help the sick or the physically disabled or recovering crack cocaine addicts, be it that you want to help and contribute to youth or do something for the homeless, whatever you want to do, if you get up in the morning out of a sense of ordinance and decide that I am an opening for the universe, that life can work through and use me as a channel and as an instrument for change, and each day we get up, we make it our personal business to make a difference in those areas that we're concerned about. How are we going to do it? We don't know, but we know that we can make a difference.
God can bring down. He can shut it down. That's why you got to live with a certain amount of humility. I don't care how many skyscrapers you build, how many jets you own, how strong your technology. God don't care nothing about none of that. When God gets ready to shut you down, he shut down the whole world with a virus we can't even see. And not one atomic bomb did anybody any good. Not one supersonic jet did anybody any good. Not IBM, not Xerox, not Google, not nobody could do anything about it. God used something we never even thought of. A bug from a bird shut down the planet. You don't know what God's gonna fight with, but I declare God's gonna get you out of this. Oh, you didn't hear what I said. I feel like dancing right where I stand. You don't know who God's gonna use, but God's gonna get you out of this. He doesn't have to use the deacons and the church mothers and the intercessors and the bishops and the prayer warrior. When God gets ready to use you, he can bring an idolatress. He can bring a whoremonger. God has a way of using stuff that you never even thought about. He'll use a jawbone of an ass. He'll lose 2 fish and 5 loaves. When God says enough, he'll use whatever he wants to use. He'll use anybody he wants to use. He'll touch anybody he wants to touch. He'll use a harlot like Rahab. When God says enough, he'll let a nation that you should be able to beat you. He'll let AI conquer you even after you conquer Canaan. When God gets ready to bring you out, he'll use anything. And all of a sudden he began to turn everything around. Babylon was someplace that they thought would never be destroyed. Babylon was strong and fierce. Babylon was posted by the rivers of the Euphrates. It started out as a small port. It grew into a great empire. They were ruling and conquering and taking over. But they messed around and they took God's children down into bondage. And when God got sick of it, he brought it to an end and he stopped it. And Babylon is reaping what they sowed. Fret not thyself over evildoers and how they prosper in their own way. Sooner or later, God will cause them to reap what they sow. You might be outnumbered. They may have more money. They may have more contacts. But when God gets ready to bring you out, he will bring you out. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but I feel like I'm talking to somebody. If I'm talking to you, just type win, 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 win. When the Lord turned again our captivity, we were like them that dream. In one moment, the weeping turned to laughter. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. The very people who were hanging their harps by the willow trees and weeping when they remembered Zion are now giggling and laughing because God has a win. I am telling all of you that are suffering and all of you that are in agony and all of you that are secretly suicidal, and all of you that are depressed, don't get too used to being depressed. Don't get too used to being down, because God owns a win. And when God says win, he will bring it to an end. And the same lips that quivered with tears, and the same face that cried itself to sleep, and the same person who rolled over and over in agony and couldn't rest at night, God will make you burst out and start laughing when the Lord turned again our captivity. It was like a dream.
You get your money's worth, right? When you shell out your cash, especially these days, you want to make sure you get full value for the money you spend. And I know the tab for the seminar was not that much, pretty modest fee to get in. Most of you, your tips for the week, right? So it wasn't that much, but I want you to be able to say when you walk out of here today, it was worth my money. But my biggest responsibility is to make sure you get your time's worth. And the reason I say that is because time is more valuable than money. In fact, you might start your notes with that. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but unfortunately, unfortunately, you can't get more time. If somebody asks you to spend your money, that's pretty easy, right? We live in America. We're wealthy, so the money's not the problem. But what if somebody asks you to spend a day, right? You got to think that over carefully, and I know you did. I wouldn't waste one of my days, not for anybody, not for anything. Once I understood how valuable they were, I don't waste any. But to make an investment like today of your money and your time, I appreciate that. Today's going to be costly for me. It's going to cost me one of my days to be, right? And some money, of course, but I don't need the money. I take the money, but I don't need the money. But guess what I do need? The time. So I'm here not to just joke with you. I'm here not to just tell some funny stories and give a performance and walk away. I'm here to give you some value, and I want to make it worth your time. I'm going to invest a day. You're going to invest a day. Let's get the most out of it and see what we can walk away with today. Anyway, for you that have not seen me before, just very briefly, let me just tell you my story. I grew up in Idaho, farm country, southwest corner of Idaho. In fact, my father still lives on the old homestead where I grew up. He'll be 89 his next birthday. Still hasn't retired. I'm proud of my dad. He's never been ill. He's really something. I'm trying to get him to retire this year, 88. I'm telling my father, what a good year to retire when you're 88. And he says, hey, talk to me in 10 years, right? I might be ready. But anyway, I went to high school. I graduated. I went to college 1 year. Halfway through my second year of college, I decided I was smart enough, so I quit. One of my major mistakes. I should have stayed in school. But I thought, heck, I'm smart enough to get a job. That's what life's all about, right? Get a job, pay your bills, work hard, stay out of trouble, keep your fingers crossed, hope for the best. And I figured I was at least prepared to do that. So I quit college and went to work. A little while later, got married, got my little family going, and I'm out there doing what I thought was the best I could. But about age 25, I'm starting to struggle. I've purchased a little more than I can conveniently pay for on time, and the creditors are starting to call saying, hey, you told us the check was in mail. What's the deal? And I'm getting embarrassed by that. I'm also embarrassed, big mouth me, with all the fancy promises I made to get married. I'm way behind on those promises, and I'm getting discouraged, wondering what to do. And I thought, well, maybe I should go back to school, right? 1 year of college, pretty short on an application. But, tough to go back to school, right? Especially when you got your family going. Time to stay is when you're there. So I discounted that. I thought, well, if I, had my own business, that would be the way to go. But, I'm short on money. Too much month at the end of the money. If you've ever been there, that's where I was, age 25. So I had to discount that, and I'm discouraged, wondering, where do I go from here? And then the miracle happened for me. Good fortune came my way. And who can explain good fortune? I don't know. Remarkable things that happen to you at a particular time. Sometimes it's just unexplainable how those things happen.
Very good. I like to ask that question. There's no saying that if you aim at nothing in life, you hit nothing dead on the head. I've been looking at my life and reflecting on my life because 10 years ago I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. I stand before you because of God's grace and mercy and faith, and knowing that as we work together, as we believe in the possibilities of the fact that healing takes place first within, then without, the possibility is unlimited of what we can do. I'm going to do a national tour called You Are More Powerful Than Cancer. One of the things I think doctors should never tell anyone they're terminally ill. I think what they should say is that my knowledge and ability to help you has terminated. My PSA 10 years ago was 110. As I stand before you, it's 270. 1 to 4 men, that's normal. And PSA stands for prostate specific antigen, but to me, PSA stands for positively staying alive. I was reflecting on my life during the time when I received 238 radiation seed implants. And as I looked at my life, I asked myself a question, and I want to ask you a question. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Now, that proves the point of what we do, what we accomplish, what we produce in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. I want you to think about some major goal that gives your life a sense of meaning right now. And as you're thinking about that, I want you to shake someone's hand on your right and your left and around you. Look them in the eyes and say with conviction, you have something special. Do that quickly now, please. Tell them you have something special. Yes. So now, I want you to join me right now. I want you to think about some major goal that you'd like to achieve. Something that gives your life a sense of meaning. Something that will give your life a sense of purpose and direction. My first major goal was to buy my mother a home. That was important to me. I'm adopted. I was born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. And when we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. My mother was 46 years of age. She only had a third grade education, but she had a PhD in mother wit. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. I saw a sign once that said, God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. So my goal and dream was to buy my mother a home, to take care of my mother. My mother was a domestic worker on Miami Beach, and she would go to work, and many days she would take us with her. And we ate the food left over from the families that my mother cooked for. They were very kind and generous people. They would say, Mamie, whatever food is left over after you cook, you can pack it up and take it home to the children, the food that's left over after we eat, and feed those 7 children that you have adopted. Because of their generosity, many nights we did not go to bed hungry because they were so kind and so giving. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama kept. If they were too small, Mama could sew, she would let them out. If they were too large, she would take them in. And my mother was a great baker. She could bake a cake. She could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on.
You're going to see the end of it. The Lord have done great things for us. Have you thought about that lately? Have you ever had to remind yourself how blessed you were? That the Lord have done great things for us? You know it's the enemy's job to always show you the negative, but you got to count up the positive and say, you know what? It's not as bad as I think it is. The Lord have done great things for us. And I'm going to go ahead and be glad. I give you permission to be glad. I give you permission to have joy. I give you permission to get your smile back. I give you permission to get your praise back. I give you permission. Some of you have not had permission. You've been locked up. You've been shackled down. You've been bound. You've been held captive by a spirit of defeatism. But I break you loose, and I give you permission right now. I break every bond of your spirit. Well, we are glad. We are glad. Turn again our captivity as you did the streams in the south. Turn it absolutely around until I look schizophrenic. Turn it around until they think I've lost my mind. Turn it around until the last time you saw me, I was laying down crying like this, and you thought I would never get back. And when you come back in the door, I'm laughing and dancing and shouting and praising. God will turn it around. He turned our captivity around. And then the writer says that you can. The writer reveals that the tears were never tears at all. It was how God irrigated the seeds I sowed, that not one tear was wasted. For every tear I shed, I watered a promise. And they that sow in tears shall reap in joy. Now to all of you that I'm preaching to who have not gone through any dark places, this is not your Sunday. You can go ahead and log off, because this Sunday I'm talking to people who have been to hell and back. I'm talking to people who have dealt with things they could say nothing about. I'm talking to people who have grown within themselves, and I'm telling you it was not without cause. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. I tell you, it's gonna be schizophrenia. You're gonna be sowing in tears and reaping in joy. You're gonna sow it in suffering. You're gonna reap it in dance. You're gonna sow it in pain. You're gonna reap it in purpose. You're gonna sow it in agony. You're gonna reap it in power. God is getting ready to bring us into the fruition. And you know how I know? Because all hell is breaking loose. That's how I know it. Because things that you've never seen before are starting to happen. Because we are seeing devils being loosed out of the pits of hell to come against us right now. The devil wouldn't be fighting us if there weren't something on the other side of this. And I don't know what you're gonna do about it, but I'm gonna hold on.